Everyone does have a role. But if you're headed in the same direction, if you're headed toward liberation, and that's where we're going. I'm not talking about equity. I'm not talking about racial equity. I'm talking about liberation. Past belonging, past liberation that I'm going to honor. And as I've gotten older, I've understood that I need to honor those other places and spaces where folks come in and organizing work. There's an organizing continuum and people play different roles. There's an ecosystem to organizing and everyone plays. There's healers in this space. There's disruptors in this space. There are different ways in which people need to show up and to have this myopic perspective. And I think that is a lack of understanding that's been passed down generation to generation around what does it mean to be in movement making. And so for me, I think what you're doing is absolutely beautiful. There's something that I always say, and I'm like, our stories are the artifacts of our existence. Anytime someone asks me about storytelling, I'm like, they're the artifacts of our existence on this earth. And they're erased every day. So we need to continue to put them out there as much as we can, in as many ways as we can, because we are here. That is the history that will move into the future. Because those are the artifacts of our existence, and they try to erase our existence at every impasse. Yes, human beings are doing it, but it's the system of erasure that tries to take that from us. And so for me, storytelling is pivotal in the way that we mark our existence in our communities, in our family, in our countries, in our states, and in our world. They're the artifacts. And so as many stories as we can tell from all the varying experience and diaspora of communities of color, the more we have of that, especially in the United States in the way that we are right now, in the way that this country is moving, we need those artifacts more now than ever. So if anybody listens to this, everybody tell the story. Find your role in the movement. Find what makes you feel good and how you can be best of service, but that takes you getting to know yourself and to testing out some things, right? We're always learning. We're never making mistakes. You're learning, and you're learning. We want to learn at rapid speed. And then I think your leadership doesn't have to be lonely.
This is Social Justice Origin Stories. I'm your host, Rolando Thompkins-Jones. Social Justice Origin Stories is a storytelling project that highlights personal stories and defining moments that have inspired individuals and organizations to labor for equity and social justice. Through truth-telling, the honest sharing of their experiences, storytellers teach us about themselves, enabling us to learn about ourselves and our world through their stories. By reconnecting with pivotal moments of activation in their lives, they invite us to do the same. At Social Justice Origin Stories, we believe that there's power in storytelling, and lived experience is experience. There's room enough for all of us to do this work. There are many ways to contribute, and our contributions don't need to be the same. We can enter and remain engaged in the work using the gifts that are special to us while supporting others and using theirs. We have the capacity to grow and change for the better when exposed to new information and experiences. We believe in our inherent worth and capabilities, and we possess the power to inspire and create change within ourselves and others. We can transcend the confines of the status quo to imagine and design more equitable and humanizing systems. Okay, so for me, there are a few things holding this up. One of the things that's propping it up for me is I think there's power in storytelling for sure, but in particular, I think there's power in making our experiences accessible to others. I have these folks in my life that I admire. I've also just known and met folks who've also had other people in their lives that they really admire. And I think admiration, I think that's good. One of the things that I'm trying to break up a little bit, chip away at with this project is for those folks out there who might take that next step and say, oh, Beca is so great. But then they turn that inward and say, oh, but I could never be like Beca though. I couldn't be that brave. I couldn't be that smart. I couldn't pull people together the way that she does. It's personally, I don't know anybody who I admire who would say, I want to be the only one doing this and y'all can't. If that was what they were saying, that wouldn't be something that I would want to emulate. I think there's power in making our stories accessible to other people, because I feel like to the degrees that we put folks up on these pedestals to where what they've done or they're doing feels like it's so out of reach to us. I think if the average person doing that you admire found out people were thinking that about them, they would say, wait a minute, no, that's not what I'm trying to communicate to folks. And through making our experiences and stories accessible, I think it humanizes the person that we admire. And then it also normalizes the fact that even to the degrees that folks think we have something all figured out, there was still a process to get there. There's still things that we might be struggling with or questions that we might be trying to seek the answers to. You might be in front of the group doing the thing, but that don't mean that you're not scared. And so it humanizes us in a way, and it humanizes those folks that we admire. And so making our experiences accessible is really important. I was talking to somebody maybe a month ago now. She writes grants and tries to make sure that organizations, Black and brown led organizations, get like the funding that they need. And she talked about, sometimes I get so tired of the bureaucracy and I get so fed up, but she had pictures of MLK and all these folks in her office. And I look at the picture and I'm like, you know what? I can go a little bit longer. That's good. I think to the degree that it drives us, that's great. One of the things with this project I'm trying to do is for those folks who go beyond that in a way that then somehow turns it inwardly and causes us to doubt ourselves and say, wait a minute, I'm not an eloquent speaker, or I can't do whatever it is that keeps us on the sidelines. I think through making our experiences accessible, I am hoping that the multiple stories that are shared here support people in recognizing that, yeah, you too are a part of this and you can be a part of this. And you may also be that person for somebody else. So normalize your experiences. So there's that part of it. That's one part, making our experiences accessible. There's a part of socialization that I'm trying to get at here too, that also comes with making our experiences accessible. To what degree, and every one of these doesn't always have to touch on it, but collectively, I'm hoping they support people in asking these questions of themselves. Like, to what degree are we resisting the internalized oppression that we've experienced as a result of all these messages coming at us every day? You might have this idea, you might have this thing you want to pull off or something you want to start. And those little whispers come in. Who are you to do that? Or, you're not qualified or whatever. All the stuff that we get from those multiple messages out there that are reinforced within systems as well, that tell us we're not deserving, we're not worthy to be able to do X, Y, and Z. How are we resisting those messages from our places of marginalization? And then also from our identities that we hold that have some privilege, how are we coming into knowledge and doing something with that knowledge of the ways we realize that the world's built for us in ways it's not for other people? And what are we doing to then betray those systems that grant us those unearned advantages that we talk about? An example that's within arm's reach in my brain is like Clarence Thomas is a Black man on the Supreme Court, and he's using his life and time and power to produce and design particular results, right? Thurgood Marshall was also a Black man on the Supreme Court, and he used his life and time and his agency and his power to design things that produce other results, right? To what degrees are we resisting, again, those messages to where we're not internalizing that oppression to the point where it's like, oh, I just want to be chosen so bad. I'll be worse on them than y'all are, for the promise of somehow being accepted by you. Like, when do we learn that we've been misled, that we've been lied to about our inferiority and our superiority too? And it comes out in the storytelling. It's also normalizing that process too. It's like, all right, give yourself some grace. We get inundated with these messages day in and day out, and without any kind of intervention, that's a part of the design that we internalize that stuff and we think, oh yeah, maybe they are right. And so people's experiences with that to some degree, socialization and stories of resisting that socialization, are something that I'm trying to get at. When I wrote in the intro, oppression thrives in isolation, I also think, again, in the power of storytelling, sometimes people have a way of sharing something that verbalizes a feeling that perhaps people have been carrying with them for quite some time. They're still trying to make sense of it, and they haven't had the words for it. It's like, oh, you know what? Becca said this thing. I've been feeling like that for years, but I didn't really know how to say it. But then I heard Becca say this thing, and it's, whoa, you done opened up like 10, 15 years of stuff that I was carrying in terms of a weight being lifted. Oppression thrives on isolation. I think community has so many answers to some of the problems that we face. And to the degrees that the storytelling that folks are sharing, it has a way of doing that for people. Some folks might not have the language to describe the things that they know to be true, and they get it through the story. Or there's also, I've had this experience working with folks in organizations too, working for equity, sometimes with the support of their institutions, and sometimes that support isn't there, but they're still doing the best they can. So there's also that perspective of, no, I know this to be true. I know these systems aren't equitable. I know we could be doing better by the people that we say we want to serve, but I'm in an environment where that reality isn't supported. It's not affirmed. Instead, it's, nah, Becca, you're not being a team player, or you're being too critical, those sorts of things. And so through that storytelling, it's just another way to validate folks and affirm the reality of their lived experiences. And again, trust yourself. I talked with a friend of mine who works at the Decolonizing Wealth Project. She studies the relationship between power, privilege, and oppression and trust. And she talks about how our experiences with oppression can actually impact the ways that we have a trusting relationship with ourselves. So we know these things are happening, but we're sometimes met with, when we're trying to highlight things and explain them, met with responses that are intended to make us question our own reality. And so she talks about that and the need for us to really have conversations about that, making our experiences accessible, thinking about socialization, supporting folks and feeling less alone. Underlying all of this too is some days I get tired. Like some days I feel disillusioned. It's, here we go. My elders, my predecessors, some of the same stuff they've been fighting for. We still got to get it. You got to stay vigilant and that kind of thing. And sometimes that I get weary, I get tired. One, I want to normalize and I want to support folks out there in recognizing that it's okay to accept and honor all the emotions you feel in the process. Do we have space? Can we be in community, and do we have space to hold multiple emotions? And can a part of our being together allow for the acknowledgement that some folks are fatigued, and that's okay? They're not saying, okay, I'm giving up. I'm not saying I'm giving up. I'm just saying today was a bad day. And I just need to own that and accept it and live with it. Tomorrow may be different, but I just want y'all to know today was just not my day. And I need that to be okay. And I'm not saying that I'm giving up. I'm not ignoring what our predecessors did and that they didn't do it anyway. I'm just saying today it was a rough day, and I just need some affirmation in that. And so I want to normalize that for folks, that it's okay to express those things. Even the greats had those moments, whether they were publicized or not, and that's okay. And one of the things I do when I'm feeling particularly ineffective and frustrated is as introverted as I am, I go to community. So I'm checking in with people across my life, and just being in their space like re-energizes me. I have this line in my head that says, sometimes we forget who we are and we need to be reminded. I almost forgot who I was and what I was capable of. But then I check in with my people and they remind me, yeah, today is a hard day and you're capable of so many things, and we love you. You can do it. And so even the exercise and gathering people to do this talk or to share their stories, this first phase of it was me going across my life. Like it was a cathartic exercise. I literally have a list, and you're one of those people for me. I literally have a list of folks. For me, it's like a calling out of, oh yeah, I just need to be in y'all space. I need the energy. It's rejuvenating. So as you all share your stories, not only are you sharing with me, and then I'm getting rejuvenated and I'm getting restored. Again, like I feel like sharing stories, sharing lived experiences, and the affirmations that those things can provide have a way of doing that same thing for people who are like even beyond us. And so, in trying to support myself, but then I'm also like, hey, other people are being supported in that too. And I'm wanting folks to know that even if you do get tired, even if you do need to take a break, just be reminded that folks have always been resisting, and you're also a part of that too. So it's okay if you need to take that break, fine. But when you come back, one, folks have always been doing it, and then you join in, maybe somebody else can drop out because you came back in. And those are some of the things that are holding up the project for me. And I'm really appreciative of you and your time. Like literally, I think that's one of the things that helps me to stay involved. I'm a part of a larger collective of folks who have consistently, historically been resisting, and there's room enough for everybody. And I want people to know that. One of the things I say is there's room enough for all of us, and there are multiple ways to contribute. Our contributions don't need to be the same. If we're exercising the gifts that are special to us and supporting people and using the gifts that are special to them, I want folks to know, like, the barrier to entry to this, it can be low. Like, there's room for everybody to do what they can. There are a variety of different ways to contribute and not get so caught up on comparison and, oh, this person is doing this great thing, to where it takes us out of I'm not going to do it because it's not going to be like what they would have done. You know what I mean? I'll stop there, but I'll just say those are some of the things that are holding up the project, and you are part of that. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. While you were talking, I don't know if you saw me writing like copious, right? Like I'm like, this is just how I process my information. And there's so many things that are standing out to me about what you even this last notion, you've probably heard me say it before. And I was listening one time to the Breakfast Club because I've been listening to the Breakfast Club in the morning.
Yeah.
And they had one of the leaders from the Nation of Islam there, and they were providing an interview. And he was saying the thing that holds us apart is that we believe that uniformity is the only way towards unity. We could be united on a vision, but there does not have to be uniformity in
That's
that.
right.
Something to that notion. Everyone does have a place. Everyone does have a role. But if you're headed in the same direction, if you're headed towards liberation, and that's where we're going. I'm not talking about equity. I'm not talking about racial equity. I'm talking about liberation. Past belonging, past liberation that I'm going to honor. And as I've gotten older, I've understood that I need to honor those other places and spaces where folks come in organizing work. There's an organizing continuum and people play different roles. There's an ecosystem to organizing and everyone plays. There's healers in this space. There's disruptors in this space. There are different ways in which people need to show up and to have this myopic perspective. And I think that is a lack of understanding that's been passed down generation to generation around what does it mean to be in movement making. And so for me, I think what you're doing is absolutely beautiful. There's something that I always say, and I'm like, our stories are the artifacts of our existence. Anytime someone asks me about storytelling, I'm like, they're the artifacts of our existence on this earth. And they're erased every day. So we need to continue to put them out there as much as we can, in as many ways as we can, because we are here. That is the history that will move into the future. Because those are the artifacts of our existence, and they try to erase our existence at every impasse. Yes, human beings are doing it, but it's the system of erasure that tries to take that from us. And so for me, storytelling is pivotal in the way that we mark our existence in our communities, in our family, in our countries, in our states, and in our world. They're the artifacts. And so as many stories as we can tell from all the varying experience and diaspora of communities of color, the more we have of that, especially in the United States, in the way that we are right now, in the way that this country is moving, we need those artifacts more now than ever. So if anybody listens to this, everybody tell the story. Everybody needs to be telling their story.
That's right. Everybody, that we need everybody out here. We need you. And I don't want for one second folks to think that my contribution does not matter, because it doesn't look a particular way. As you said, there's a variety, there's an ecosystem.
There's an ecosystem to this. Get in where you fit in. What makes you feel good? What are you trying to do, right? There's people that are pushing for social change inside institutions and external institutions. And we're oftentimes pitted against each other. We're using different strategies to get to the same goal. Because our calling is different. Maybe my calling was to be an attorney and now I'm a prosecutor, and you're out here doing social justice work on the ground, organizing people in community. What we need is alignment and better understanding and a better game plan in how we do that. That requires strong leadership and personal transformation.
So I feel like there's so much already in what you said. And I'm reminded, I want to come back actually and ask you about, because I love how you talk about inside outside game, and I love how you share that with folks in the spaces that I've seen you do it in. What brings you to social justice work?
My name is Beca Velázquez-Publes, and I was born and raised in Southwest Detroit, and I came to Grand Rapids in about 2007. So I've been in Grand Rapids now since then. Somebody's mommy, I'm someone's boo, I'm someone's sister. I play lots of roles in this. I'm quickly becoming a community auntie, which I was just like, what? So I'm moving into that senora stage, as we say in Spanish. And I think social justice is in my DNA. I don't know how to put it a different way. I've always had a very strong sense of right and wrong. I've always had a very strong sense of justice, like of fairness, of humanity, of how to be a better human being. And it's interesting because when I was answering the questions that you asked, I was reflecting on my childhood. It took me straight to my childhood, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like 45, 46. I don't remember how old I am. I just had another birthday. I always ask my husband, I was like, do the math. How old am I?
Give or take.
And it immediately took me to my childhood and what I was reflecting on, especially the question around what are we internalizing, is as a child, what a sense of justice that I had. What a sense of right and wrong. I was so firm. I knew it. I felt it. It made me sad. As a child, I was very empathetic. It made me like question everything and question the world. And what we internalize and what it's done is then we begin to be primed to turn that off, to turn it off, to desensitize ourselves from it. Right. And that in itself, oh, when I was reading your question, I was like, oh my God, that hurts. Like it hurt. I've always had a calling towards social justice. I just didn't know what it was. I didn't know, I couldn't put a name to it. So nonprofit was the pathway. But actually was education. I started as a middle school teacher in Pontiac, Michigan, while I was living in Detroit. And one summer I got called. Somebody was like, hey, do you want to do some summer work? And I just started, I was like a career counselor at a one-stop readiness program. And I was like, yo, this is dope. Like, I get to work with adults and get them into training and get them rocking and rolling and get them into their spaces. And then it was just a calling for nonprofits. I built programs. I built anything that they let me build and dream about. And I think that was really the impetus of being able to dream and build something that put me on the path. And it was always in this vein of racial equity and social justice, up towards the end of advocating for every person that I had the opportunity to advocate for. And that's been my career.
Yeah, you said from an early age you had this sense of injustice. And in preparation for this, you also shared that you questioned a lot of things that you saw around you. You also saw some volunteering and you saw things within your family, even modeling the importance of community and being in community with folks.
Yeah. Even, I'm going to get emotional. Rolando, you got me, bro. The question, right? Because we're human beings and it's okay.
Yeah.
When I was reflecting, when I was writing, those questions were so great for just some time for reflection. I just remember always my parents giving whatever they had to whomever was there, right? Like, I grew up in Detroit, and the thoroughway that I lived, there was a lot of prostitution. There was a motel in the corner, so it was just a thoroughway for that. And until I got older, I didn't even realize what was happening, what was happening. But my mom always would take care of them. They would walk by. She'd make sure that they were fed and that they had something to drink, they had something to eat. And my father would tell you, like, the person that gives you their shirt off their back kind of person, like they'll give you the shirt off their back.
Yeah.
Right? Like, time and time again, for people in our family, for people that are adjacent to our family, for people in our neighborhood, if he had it, he would give it. And I don't think that they, even to this day, understand that the acts of kindness, that they demonstrated humanity. Like the way that they acted, the way that they demonstrated those acts of kindness really formed who I was. My mom also was like with the farm workers and brown berets and all that. Like she was activist in her own right in that space.
That's right.
That's why I say I think it was on my DNA. It was just always there, and how they always looked out for community. There was always somebody living in her house. It felt like, right? Like,
yeah,
cousins coming out of recovery and just lots of people. There was always a safe place for people to land, was our house. And it felt like that. And so I think I internalized that, but somewhere along the line, the world turns it off. Right?
You said somewhere along the way, the world turned it off?
The world turns it off.
Okay.
You're prone to not care that way anymore. How our systems in our familial systems and other systems are set up, you might have community, but so quickly your community is torn apart, right? Maybe your family is separated, or maybe you move, right? So a lot of people of color, their parents move away from everything that they know so that they have a better life for their kids.
Yeah.
To the suburbs, or you move schools because your parents can afford a private school, or there's these other things that happen. And now you're thrusted into another environment and another space. And then you're just forced to survive in those spaces. And as a kid, like when you're going to middle school and high school, those are very formative. And it's not sexy to be nice in those spaces.
Yeah.
It's not cool to be smart. It's not cool to be nice. It's not cool. So the world already starts to prime you not to be that way. And so I think it's very important in the formative years for our children to see how we behave with others and how we create community and what that means. Because they're going to go off to school and it's not the cool thing to do. That's already the system telling them it's not cool to be kind. It's not cool to be nice. And then that's how we start to dehumanize ourselves. In movement work and social justice work and liberation work, our humanity is like the essential foundation, the building blocks to be able to do that work. When we go into these spaces, they extract our humanity. Work extracts your humanity in exchange for a transaction. School, you're taught to conform. We understand the system of school and how it was built and why it was built, right? Tire them out so they can't go out here and do these things. We're extracting our humanity. How many times, even if, no matter how professional you are, that you hang up pieces of your identity before you walk into that space. You hang up pieces of your identity. And for me, over time, I don't believe our purpose is static. I believe our purpose evolves with us. Oftentimes, I do a lot of coaching and they're like, I want to have my purpose. And I'm like, as you evolve, stubble your purpose. You are currently walking in your purpose. If you're aligning your work and yourself to your values, then you're living in your purpose. It's going to continue to evolve. And my purpose has evolved, just like when you were saying earlier about everyone has different roles. It is essential for leaders in movement work and social justice work to know when it's time to move out of the way.
Whew.
And it is incumbent upon us to make this thing go further, faster. And oftentimes when we are not self-aware, our ego gets in the way. We are a bottleneck to our organization's growth because we bring all of our scars with us that we had to navigate and create a free space, right? Or a liberated space for folks. And we're not doing it because we're the bottleneck, because we have all of our baggage as leaders. And until as leaders, we start healing those things about us, then we can't be change makers. And I think it is a leader's responsibility in organizations. They're the ones who have to transform first for the organization to transform, to do change work that way. I think leaders are pinnacle to the ecosystem, and they're the first. They give everything and they receive nothing, and there needs to be reciprocity in those spaces. I believe that movement work can happen within systems, external to systems, in lots of different ways, and it's not just this one myopic way. I know I'm going to upset lots of folks who, and I don't mean to do that are doing movement work, that are doing organizing work, that are doing these very important work on the ground. I think that the strategies that the organizing and advocacy community has done over the last, what year are we in? All these years have they built. I think those strategies can evolve and be generative and can be used in other spaces for change work. They're essential.
Yeah.
But how do we take them and embody them? And to me, I feel like my purpose that I'm moving into is, how do we have a coalition of leaders who are willing to create ecosystems of liberation where they are for the people that are there, that they serve in their communities and in their workplace?
Yeah.
Because that's resistance. That is a form of resistance.
That's a form of resistance. And when you were sharing it, also it made me think about gatekeeping. It made me think about the question of how much do we share in leadership that supports folks in recognizing these are some of the things that have happened without holding on to some of the stuff that worked before. Might not, some of the stuff that worked in the past, like there are some historical banding together, getting together. There's some organizing things that are sure, but I'm talking about something different. There's something a little bit different than that. Just some of the strategies and the things that I think you were talking about in ways that some of that stuff might not fit our current context. Like how much do we share with folks to here's what the path has been. But I like how you said knowing when to move out of the way or knowing when to shift in that. Don't want to move in a way to where it's now a point where I'm acting out of my own unhealed spaces or unexamined spaces. And so now it's more about me. We're the bottleneck. I'm the hold up kind of thing. And so I appreciated how you explained that just now. made me think of those things, and the importance of being in conversation with ourselves to know when we're operating in that purpose, and then when we're doing something different from that, so that we might need to shift.
If you're a good leader, you're hiring people who are smarter than you all around you. That's my first thing is, okay, who's better than me in all these things, and being self-aware where my shortcomings are. I'd be the first one to apologize to my team. They'd be the first one to be like, nah, I don't know. And the moment that I let move my ego out of the way, and sometimes the ego is going to come up, it's just, but the moment that I left, I cannot tell you how much relief I received. And it was out of desperation that I told my team one time, like, I don't know. Or the first time I told my team, you know what? I messed up big. This is what I did. I'm sorry. Help me fix it. People are smarter than me and all these things. What did I miss? It was such a relief.
Yeah.
Because our organizations can be circular. They can be flat. They don't have to be hierarchical, right? We can have accountability in different ways. We can treat each other with kindness and care. And it can happen in big systems, and it can happen in a little nonprofit organization. But it's incumbent on leaders to really work hard at it and operate. We often talk about operationalizing equity, racial equity specifically. How do you operationalize it? We know it. Everyone can say the words and talk the talk and do the vernacular and write their statements. But when it comes to doing the work, when it comes to embedding it into the fabric of who you are as an organization and how you make decisions, organizations still haven't figured that out. They figure out the vernacular, the fancy word, all the best trainings. This is not a training, it's a way of life.
That reminds me of when I would hear you talk about this, and I've incorporated into my own work. I've appreciated the times I've had to learn from you and learn with you. They've got the statements, they've got the structures and that, but there's a lot how we relate to one another. Are we tending to that? How are we handling the ways we communicate with one another? How are we addressing or tending to inequity and inequity in our relationship? Like those things that are often not attended to play a big role in whether or not we're actually moving as a united, connected organization and team or not. So I've always appreciated the ways you've talked about that, and the ways I've heard you talk about that, and that's the ways I've seen you actually live that out as well. I continue to carry that with me. You've shared that your work, particularly with the Urban Core Collective, has solidified your social justice journey. Could you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah. The Urban Core Collective, UCC, has been a transformative space for me in my life. So all my life, I've been doing different types of social justice work. And when I came to Grand Rapids in 2007, I started doing health equity work. In 2017, 2016, the leadership at the Urban Core Collective, which was founded as a membership organization of 6 organizations that predominantly serve Black and Brown folks in Greater Grand Rapids area. And they're a community of practice. They would learn from each other, the 6 organizations. Then they shared resources and they shared ideas and they shared leadership. The idea behind that was that there doesn't need to be any competition. We're all in this, and the systems are making us compete against each other. How do we dismantle that? And when I tell you they were doing some heavy dismantling, like turning dollars away. Oh, we didn't all get money. Oh, they gave you a little bit. No, let's go talk to them about what they're doing, because they got the money. They're just trying to be funny with their money. True philanthropy. You know what? Over the years, they've really become solid organizations, sustainable organizations. And the premise and the theory why they all converged really worked. Like it was just a magic place. I never walked into a boardroom before where it was all Black and Brown faces. My whole board was Black and Brown. And in West Michigan, for people who don't know West Michigan, it's not Detroit.
It's not. It's not.
And so to walk into a boardroom and walk into a space, and the freedom that they gave me to test, to learn, to iterate. And when I moved to UCC and I became the executive director there, all I knew is that I wanted to do everything different. All my years of nonprofit experience, I wanted to test everything differently, because all of that harm, all of that hurt, like I had white ladies yelling at me, screaming at me in buildings. And I'm like, what are you talking about? The amount of utter ridiculousness that I had to experience in my career, I didn't want anyone else under my watch to experience it in where I was and where I had power and influence. And so everything I did was opposite of what I knew nonprofit to be. And it really allowed me to be disruptive, test the notions of what worked, what didn't work, center humanity and our humanity in work. What does that look like? How do you center yourself? How do you center one another in that space? And when I tell you, I got to write a paper on this one day because this is why it's so precious to me, is the ability for humans to show up as themselves in the workplace and to be cared for in a particular way. And we're family, we're community. That's different. Right? And when I say it takes people, it amazes me that as new people would come on to the UCC team and new people would be there, it would take 6 months to a year for people to believe that you can bring your kid. Who walked in here right now, if my child walked through this door or my husband walked through this door, this is our home where you and I are in our space. I'm going to honor their existence.
That's right.
And I remember in the beginning of all this Zoom world, we're like shushing people and we're like, and then I just stopped. That did not feel good. I did that for a week. It does not feel good. Hold on. My kid needs me. And when you start to embody that and do that in the workplace, you need to bring your kid. We're all raising your kid. Puppy, come on, bring that puppy. Just make sure you clean up after yourself, right? Your work hours are a little bit different because you like to work during these hours. Fantastic. Let's figure that out. What do you want to do? What do you want to dream up? Let's go find the money to do that. Is it aligned with our values? Is it aligned with the direction that we're going? Is it aligned with our theory of change? Let's test it. What can we do that's different from everything else? Because what we've been doing is not working at the rate that we need it to work. We need to expedite that. And everybody needs the cheat codes. Everybody. That's why I coach, because I need every leader to have the cheat codes. Right? I'm like, yes. And specifically leaders of color need the consulting piece of that, which are the cheat codes. Oh, don't build that template. I got one here. Oh, you need the MOU template? Hold on. I'll find you one. Here, use this template. Don't go creating some stuff. Don't go investigating it. What I have, you have. So at UCC, what we have at UCC, anybody can have at UCC. Like, we share our resources. We're really fundamentally rooted in community and has grown to be an organizing organization. And I'm really proud of the team there. I transitioned out of leadership. And the one thing that I was firm on is that there would be a co-leadership model moving forward in that organization. And in the transition, there's a co-leadership model. And I couldn't be more proud of the work that they're doing, and they're organizing in environmental justice and testing new ways and to do that work and the democracy work in the democracy space and education space. And the space I kind of hold still a little bit, I'm in that last transition of, is the emerging leader space and how we care for leaders, how we care for leaders and bring them into and help them build their community, because there's lots of transplants that come to Grand Rapids and we can't keep good talent. I was here for 6 years before I made a friend. That is ridiculous. This is not a big old city that you can't be making friends over here.
That's right. That's
right. But when I say making friends, I had acquaintances and I had work colleagues. When I say friends, that's a complete different. So it really solidified my social justice. And I have learned so much from the UCC team in their endeavors. And they taught me, they allowed me to explore organizing in a different way. That's my mission. My mission is not the same as organizing around education in the public school systems or environmental justice and doing movement and campaigns against consumers' energy and DTE, right? They value the work of leaders because they understand it's essential to the work, essential to our community. And we can organize in a different way, just means something different. And it's been such a gift to learn from them and take those tenets and take that learning and really be able to put it in a space in which, my hope is, I have this on my board, it says, my hope is to help more humans reimagine leadership.
Help more humans reimagine leadership. You said earlier, you've had these questions and you're noticing these things, and then the ways the world works to turn those things off in us. When you think about your experiences with your marginalized identities, in what ways has internalized oppression impacted your journey?
I'm struggling when you say it's making me feel a certain way.
Okay.
So this is me.
Yeah.
And so whoever sees this is going to see this in real time.
Yeah.
Because we have a relationship. When you say my marginalized identities, I struggle with that because no part of me is marginalized.
All right.
I worked very hard to stand in everything that I am.
Okay.
And so when we do that, then I get people permission, even silently, to stand in their full self. And it is an act of resistance to do that. It is
That's
a
right.
process of bravery. First, it's the mindset to say, I will not allow myself to be marginalized in any space. That is on them. It's how they want to talk, and that's what they want to do, and that's how they want to see me. That's theirs. I can't do anything about that. But what I know to be true about myself is that none of that will exist. And it is a constant practice of unlearning and taking that mental trash out. And we're always going to have some sort of imposter syndrome and all of that's going to be swirling. I think that, and this is such an important question because it is the way that we behave and the little things that we do that help us stand more in our power, right? And I tell this story, and again, we've known each other a long time, so you probably heard this story, but I remember one day I was getting ready to go out and give a talk to a group of young professionals. And I was standing, I have a mirror on the door in the front of when going out my front door. And I looked cute, right? Like I had a little cute outfit on and I had a pair of Chuck Taylors and I had like my pumps, like my kitten heels. Ladies are not all kitten heels. You were not all kitten heels. I have little pumps. I was like, oh, okay. And I put those heels on and I was just like, now and already.
Yeah.
So I put my Chuck Taylors on. I was like, yeah, I want to rock these. I looked at myself in the mirror. I took those Chuck Taylors off and I put it's an internal struggle because I wanted people to respect me because I felt like pieces of my identity were not good enough. Been primed to believe those things. And it's real time disrupting that information to say, wait, you're about to go talk to some young professionals. What greater moment than to demonstrate who you are and where you feel comfortable in your skin.
Mm-hmm.
And from that moment on, I was like, I'm done with that. And this is how I'm going to rock myself. I'm going to wear these chucks. And I did. And it was empowering, but it was like a good 10 minutes that I'm going back and forth, changing my shoes and I'm putting new shoes on and like how people perceive me and what I wear and what my hair looks like. And I mean, all of the things, how I speak. I remember sitting on my hand speaking to people. And then I remember my grandfather's left-handed. And I remember them telling us stories about how they used to tie his hand behind his back so he couldn't write with his left hand. I'm doing it to myself. I'm sitting on my hands. And I said, absolutely no. I'm going to talk with my hand. I'm going to talk this big. The first time I was in a meeting, I used the word stellar or dope. And I was just like, forget it. I don't care anymore. I don't want to be bound by this. I'm going to resist it.
Yeah.
I know who I am. I know what I bring.
Yeah.
I know how I roll. And when I do that, it gives people permission to do the same. I silently giving people permission to be like, oh, she's rocking some sneakers. I want to rock sneakers.
Yeah, I can do that.
Oh, you can do that? Oh, you can wear your hoops that big? Oh, you can. It's permissible.
Mm-hmm.
But because we only see one sense of what dominant culture tells us to be, we internalize all of those things. That's why it's so triggering the marginalized identities. Because all of my identities, and I claim it, are important.
That's right.
I lead with all of them. Sometimes I lean into being a mom more than I lean into being a leader, but language is so important. And we have to uncouple ourselves from language that puts us at a deficit, that doesn't let us stand in our abundance, that doesn't let us stand in a space in which we can see or know or move closer towards liberation, right? I'm not a fool. I know I'm not going to see liberation in my lifetime. My hope is that whatever I'm doing now will give my daughter a sense of liberation to live her fullest life, to be her fullest self. So yeah, and you know what? I read it and it didn't bother me. And when you said it, it bothered, right?
Yeah.
I read it and I was just like, it doesn't feel right.
Okay. Okay. One, I want to say thank you for speaking that. Thank you for sharing that with me. I'm holding it. We talk about this all the time. There's definitely a difference between intent and impact. I think it's important to share our journeys of resisting the ways that society has taught us to diminish ourselves. And as you say, language is important. Even as you're sharing with me, it's, oh, yeah. And I'm hearing it too. It took a lot of work to get here. And that language can have a way of dishonoring the work that it took to get to where you are. And so, one, I appreciate you, like, for being real, for being honest. I hold it, I accept it. I do apologize though for the impact of that. In your sharing about it, you revealed and highlighted some really important distinctions about the importance of how we use language and the degree that language, what I'm getting from what you're saying, the degree that language can empower us. And it's important to live in, like, move in that space.
We have limited language because that's yet to experience. And this journey towards liberation and our work towards social justice, we really do have limited vernacular and vocabulary. Blame the human condition on this journey.
Yeah.
And some of those words just don't hit. I know exactly what you were saying. If we had a better term or something that resonated more, and we don't. We just used this word marginalized the other day. I used to say we just had this conversation about this specific word. We have to be careful of not allowing spaces to co-opt our language in the social justice and liberation space. Like, we cannot let people co-opt it, right? Like, intersectionality has been co-opted in such a way. It hurts.
For the ways that you understand certain aspects of yourself might have some unearned benefits or advantages that other folks don't have in relation to you. How has that knowledge impacted the ways that you move in leadership? How has that impacted your journey? And what's your relationship with challenging that, interrupting that for yourself?
Yeah. It has taught me a lot of grace, a lot of patience. I know how, in so many ways, my life is just, I have so much privilege, right? Even in the country that we're living in right now, even under the conditions and circumstances that we're here, I have so much privilege, right? And my husband is a great grounder. He grounds me. So my husband is an immigrant here from Cuba. Well, my father-in-law was a political prisoner. And the liberties, the things that I have taken, that I personally have have had for granted,
Mm-hmm.
he is such a great grounder to be like, yeah, but don't forget, it's not always like this.
That's right.
Isn't what it's like everywhere. And I've traveled the world and I travel internationally and have experiences. And still, the privilege that I hold to have an education, to own a home, to be able to work and do the thing that I love every day. What a privilege to be able to be like, oh, I love what I do. I live in my purpose. My parents didn't have that at all. I think of my tios and my tias and the things that they've had to do and the places that they've had to work and the experiences they have had to have. My cousins, my peers, like, I understand where I'm situated, and it has allowed me a space of more, I don't even like the word empathy. It's just more a sense of grace for folks in a space in a time where we cannot have, it is always either or. It's very polarizing.
Yeah.
My privilege has showed me and allowed me to learn. And I've learned over time because I wasn't always this. I have not always been this gracious. I have not always been this kind. Have not, or patient. I was very impatient for many years. But what I have learned is that everyone's journey is different. And it's incumbent on me to get to learn more about their journey before I judge their experiences or how they act or behave. And privilege allows me a different seat.
When you think of people or groups or experiences who've helped to shape your analysis, if there are any folks that you like to name or just talk from people collectively, one, there's some space for you. If there are some folks that you would like to name, you can do that. Or if you'd like to speak to folks collectively, the second part of that is what might you say to or about those folks that speaks to just as whatever feelings of gratitude you have for the impact on you and your learning and your growth and the way you show up to work with others.
I feel like I'm in a perpetual state of learning. I'm a very curious person. I'm trying to understand how people do things, why they do that, how they move in certain ways. I would say probably in the last 10 years, the people who have been very transformative and impactful in my life have been definitely my team at UCC. Like anybody who has come through UCC or been a partner and really helped me formulate who I am and what I'm learning. Partners at the National Equity Project, Bread, and like Ed, Gretchen, like the folks there who have really just demonstrated what it means to be an ally, specifically a white ally in this space, and understand what that means and embody that. It's just absolutely just beautiful. There have been lots of people along the way who've opened a door and pushed me into a space where I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I here? What's happening? And show their allyship in some very important and meaningful ways. Adrienne Marie Brown at UCC, we call her our patron saint because immersion strategies really just affirmed everything that we were doing. And it gave us like a pat, like just a pat on the back to be like, you're on the right path. You're not alone. Others are doing this. This is important. And it just was like an affirming hug that I never knew that we needed. Nadia Brigham,
Yes.
since 2019, she has been a thought partner. She has been she's family now after all this time, and just really challenging me, sharing ideas. We always laugh, like iron sharpens iron, and like just really being able to have discourse. And to anyone that I've been able to have a discourse that we might have polarizing kind of views on things, and that you stayed in it with me, had that discourse and taken it, and we've still been able to come out and care for each other and do it in a way like those experiences are still valuable because it shows that we can bridge our humanity and still do things differently, right? And still hold space for each other's humanity. And I think that is missing in this time and space. For anyone that I've had some real heated, tough conversations and where you've challenged me or you pushed me. And I would say like my UCC team has always been like accountability, like holding my feet to the fire to be like, you're moving funny. The people that come and tell me that I'm moving funny have really been the ones who've helped transform and keep me on my path and keep me aligned to my values in this work and in this space. And then I have a crew of homegirls who just hold it down for me all the time. And they're the ones who are, everybody needs a board of directors, and they're my board of directors. And they tell me about myself, and then they hug me, and they tell me to go sit down somewhere, and they hold me accountable to do and be the person that I want to in love. And I'm very fortunate and blessed to be surrounded by so many great human beings who want to see this world a better place. And that list is very long, but I would say AMB, Adrienne Marie Brown, is out of just, I love and her connection to nature and how we have this ecosystem. You hear me use this word all the time, and it's because I believe in the ecosystem of who we are as organizations and organisms, and there's so many similarities. And all my books here, and I'm trying to see, there's so many. But just really fortunate and blessed to have a network of folks who always show up.
What would you hope listeners will learn or take away from your story, and what actions would you encourage them to take?
I like to do things in 3, so I'm going to do things in 3. So
Let's go.
I want everyone to understand that they're a leader. Can't nobody tell you nothing else. You're a leader. You're a leader in your family. You're a leader in your space. Embody that. Learn how to be your most leader in line with your values. The closer you get to your values, and alignment there, the better you will feel as a human being. I want people to know that there is not one way to do resistance work and to do liberation work. There are multiple ways. And back to the beginning of our conversation, in the ecosystem, everyone can have a role. Do not think that because you are not out here in the streets marching, that you are not part of the movement. Find your role in the movement. Find what makes you feel good and how you can be best of service, but that takes you getting to know yourself.
Yeah.
And to testing out some things, right? We're always learning. We're never making mistakes. You're learning, and you're learning. We want to learn at rapid speed. And then I think your leadership doesn't have to be lonely.
Leadership doesn't have to be lonely. All right. So I have some finish the statement prompts, just 3 of them. And it was really just a snapshot for what you're thinking at this moment. It's just a snapshot of what you're feeling at this time. Your answer may change if you think about it another day. Okay, so finish this statement. True social justice is possible when?
True social justice is possible when we move with community.
My approach to social justice is shaped by?
My approach to social justice is shaped by leadership.
Understanding and sharing our social justice origin stories is important because
they're artifacts to our existence and resistance.
And for our last question, it is really my hope that these stories, the sharing, stays around for many years, even beyond our time. And so my question is for future generations who would somehow come across this recording, is there anything you'd want to share with them? Anything you want to pass on to them, knowledge, wisdom, any words you'd like to share for future generations who come across this recording?
You are loved. You are cared for. And your ancestors are proud.
All right. Thank you, Beca. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. I appreciate you.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review and subscribe to Social Justice Origin Stories wherever you get your podcasts. You can also watch video episodes on YouTube at Social Justice Origin Stories, and I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe there as well. Video episodes are also available on the project website, socialjusticeoriginstories.com. I'd love to hear about how you're engaging with the stories. Share your thoughts at socialjusticeoriginstories.com/contact or by emailing stories@socialjusticeoriginstories.com. To support the work of Social Justice Origin Stories, consider becoming a monthly patron. Your contributions will help keep this resource going and support its mission. Visit patreon.com/socialjusticeoriginstories to learn more and to make a contribution. Again, that's patreon.com/socialjusticeoriginstories. You can start or stop anytime. Social Justice Origin Stories is edited, hosted, and produced by me, Rolando Thompkins-Jones. Many thanks to our storyteller this week and the many storytellers who have contributed to this project. And thank you for joining me this week. Take care.